What's up, everyone? I'm so glad that you're joining me this week. I'm your host, Ryan McCarty. We talk about everything people, culture, engagement. So this week, I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to Champion Your Culture. Wiley, Mike, thanks for jumping on with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So excited to have Mike because Mike's one of the 5 culture champions that were recently certified through our 3-day training here in Indianapolis, Indiana. By the way, our next one's coming up October 5th through the 7th. That's our next session. Make sure that you register. Of course, Champion Your Culture is sponsored by Culture of Good. Every single week we come and bring you the best ideas around how to champion people and culture, no matter what industry you're in. And most people would not think of metal fabrication as the place to actually like manufacturing, right? Like how do we bring culture into that space? So that's what Mike does at Wiley Metal. So I just wanted you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do at Wiley.
Yeah, so my name's Mike Wiley, and I have recently moved to the Vice President of Culture and Leadership Development for Wiley Metal.
That's awesome.
And we're a family-owned business. My grandfather started it, and I'm 3rd generation. So after 40 years of business, we decided that we need to change the culture and the stereotypes of metal fabrication and show everybody how we're different and how everybody else can be different as well in the manufacturing industry.
Yeah. I remember when you had signed up, I was like, this is great because, you know, you think about culture is easy to build in a little office with a few people that, are all cool and progressive and like, want to be in this cool environment and stuff. But when you get into like manufacturing, I know that sometimes feels like kind of on the fringe of what you would normally think of a really dynamic, engaging culture. But you, after the training, just hit the ground running, man. I mean, like you didn't have much time to like develop. I mean, it's developing in process, right?
Right. Yeah. So it was about 3 or 4 weeks before the training, and I was moving into the position when I signed up for the training, and so we were approached, and I had an event already set up for like the Tuesday after training. So I had to go back and start developing and getting help and from my team and putting together a team right away. So even the night before the last day of training, I was on the phone and making phone calls to try to get this thing ball rolling. So the first event I did a little bit backwards because the ball was already rolling. But
sure.
I mean, with the training, it made a lot of help and with the support to get it to be what it was even. So because one of the biggest things is developing a team, a culture team that really help with events or storytelling. How has that process been so far? I mean, it's been easy, hard, but it's both. I mean, I put a team together pretty quick, and I'm still kind of in the first couple weeks, so still kind of changing it, and people want to be involved in different ways. So, I mean, it's an ever evolving thing still to this day, but we've had 2 meetings now, and I've added 2 team members over team meetings. And so it's ever evolving, but it's already, they're ready to look at our next event in 3 months and start developing that. And so they're ready to keep rolling with it. And I got a good group of people that are willing to help and be involved. So that's good.
Yeah. I like the idea of every 3 months having that re-engagement, because that's part of the process that we really teach, but also it looks different for every company, you know? How has that process helped in terms of structure? Like you have a lot of things going on. I know we've talked a lot about like making sure you stick to something that's structured, like, the tools and stuff that we offer through Culture of Good. Have you found that to be beneficial, and in what ways?
Yeah. I mean, just using the tools, I have the the tool book that I got from there that I've referenced on my desk all the time, and I've utilized different parts and followed it. I don't want to say to a T, but I've kind of made it our own and used some of it in some of the workshops I've already started and to walk through and to continually get people engaged. And some of it comes, and I know you and I've talked, but it comes naturally, and it's amazing how it works and how it's almost just spreads like wildfire. I mean, I put it out there, and then people are getting home and wanting to do back or events afterwards to help,
kind of support
it. And hey, can I use this? Can I bring people? I'm going to this charity of my choice. Do you mind if I ask other people to come? And it's just
and family members too, right?
Yeah, family members too. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much cool stuff that happened that first event.
Yes.
There's some stories. What was like the most impactful thing that you saw take place overall for the organization?
Well, it was for the organization, just the amount of people we had. So we're like 140 people. And for the first event and the way it was thrown together, we had over 40 people show up.
Yeah.
And, you always want more, but for the first event to have that big of an impact is big. But just to see that and some of the things that came out of it, the comments I've gotten back of, being able to see other teammates and people they don't see from other buildings and different positions, different shifts, then see them all working together. And the fact that they, we were there to hand out backpacks to kids to the Boys and Girls Club. And we had so many people there, they came to me and said, well, we didn't plan on this, but we have kids coming in a week and we're moving a game room.
Yeah.
You guys are kind of skilled in that area. And what would have taken them a very long time, we disassembled and reassembled the game room in another position for the most part, but in another area.
Right.
And then by the end of the night, it was rewarding to some of those volunteers to see that there were already kids up there using the game room that they had put together. And just to see that made it all full circle for them. And many of the people that work for us said that they were those kids, and they remember it brought them back to a place of, I was the one going to get free backpacks and needing help because my family wasn't well off. And now it's so rewarding to be able to get back to those kids because I'm in that position. So that kind of stuff was very rewarding to see and hear from our employees.
Yeah. What about for you? I mean, I heard like a hug on the floor, like it's like a whole thing, right? I mean, it's really
it is, and that was
things.
I mean, just empowering people through this program, and you don't even know until you start doing it. And you don't even mean to, but you find these people that you see a future in, or that they are good people and they deserve to I don't know, grow within the company. And so, with that story, it was one of the guys that's worked for us. And before all this, I started a mentor program, and I chose him as a mentor. He was not as engaged, but he became part of a team, right? And so he really bought into it, and I had him as he's now part of my culture team. And I told him as part of the leadership mini group inside my culture team. And he doesn't have a leadership position, but some of the other people on that team do. So I went to him and said, hey, I put you here for a reason, and don't lose your voice. And he told me and said, he goes, well, I might be quiet for the first couple of weeks. And I said, well, I don't want you to lose your voice, but you can listen. He goes, well, I've never been asked to be part of something like this. And he gave me a hug, and it's not anything that you would ever expect, but it's brought it out in him. And and then again, he was there for the first event, and he asked, because we have Wiley metal hats, and he said, hey, mine's dirty from working there. Do you have another one? So I can, because he wanted to look nice and represent Wiley metal. And so I handed out a few hats to some of the guys, and they just to have that, and they felt proud to wear it and at that event and to be there. So
that feeling of pride, I mean, that's everything, isn't it?
Yes.
Like when you connect a sense of pride to where you work, who you work for, the impact that you're making, all of those things is like, yeah, I mean, once you start building a culture of good and once it starts to get a rhythm in the organization, you're like, yeah, all this makes a lot of sense. But to have a structure to be able to follow and like a playbook to be able to say, okay, here's the way in which we can do this and we can operationalize it.
Right.
I think that's a key too, you know. What was for you the reason why you joined or came to the training to start with? Because this is a new position, as you mentioned. You just got placed over culture before the training.
Right. Yeah. And it's been a transition and from my old position, which was sales and estimating and different. I wore several hats, and there's still some of that everyone's behind me and trying to get out of it, as this is culture. Unless you have a team behind you, it is a full-time job. And it's and as the thing grows, you don't want it to die and have, so you want it to continue to grow and everybody to be excited about it. So the reason I came was just looking for, I'm new to this. I have no education in it other than through college and through, being on the work floor. I was earmarked for the position because as we started talking about culture and developing culture, we were, before I even stood up and said, I think I can do it, the rest of the executive team had already, when I went to my dad, who's the president, and said, I think I can do this. He said, good, because we already marked you down in that position. So
you were voluntold.
Yes. Yeah. But they were waiting for me to know that I could do it and have the confidence to do it. And through going through this program and everything else, between you and Shannon, and just the confidence it's given me, because I went into this position, and when I came into the training to begin with, I had no clue what I was doing.
What would you have done without the training? I mean, you were put into that position. Like, what? Do you have a plan? Would you have had a plan to follow, or were you just kind of like hoping that the training would create that? Because that's kind of what that is what the training's for,
right?
To empower you and to champion you,
right? And I mean, I thought we had a plan, but it wouldn't have been strong as what it is now, right? And
that's cool.
For me to go back and just with that training and going right back into that event, there were a lot of things I was able to pull that instantly within 2 days that helped the event succeed to what it did. I mean, there's still a lot of things that we can build on, but it was a success for the first event.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it worked, but yes, the training. I mean, I went to the training to try to. I didn't know how much I was going to get out of it until afterwards. So it was one of those things where it was an experience that has changed my perspective on the position and where we're going to go next. And
what do you find is like in terms of, is it the industry as a whole, or what are the challenges around culture for Wiley right now, or has been in the past?
I mean, a lot of it is, some of it would be the industry. I mean, it's hard, as it's a lot of the positions and in what we do is hands-on, using your hands, and there's that stigma to the manufacturing of being like a hard-nosed, leave all your feelings, leave everything at the door. You're here to work, get product out, and
right.
You're looked at as what your output is every day, and you're there to run a machine. And so there's that stigma of manufacturing managers are rough and tough, and and so that's hard to break. And you're dealing with, again, I mean, for Wiley Metal, we've been around 40 years, so you really have to get everybody on board and everybody understand what we're trying to do, from the top to everybody on our organization, because you have people that have been doing the same thing for 30, 40 years, and they've come into work and went home and got a paycheck, and now you're trying to incorporate this
Mm-hmm.
value added part to the workplace, and the buy-in needs to happen from everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Part of the reason I've got guys that have been there for 30 or 40 years, and they're some of the first ones that were there for the event. And
that's awesome, man.
And so I had comments of, that came back from that saying, even though I didn't feel like I did much, it felt great to volunteer and be a part of Wiley Metal and do more than just collect a paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. So people want that, and they want to feel that rewarding. They want to feel rewarded, and by offering that at work, and this the attitude of everybody, because that's available, and mm-hmm. because we're pushing teams and everything else. I mean, I went back, like I said, I started this mentor team where I picked 8 or 9 guys from our company to mentor new employees when they came in, and they give them a tour, and then for 3 months they're kind of there if they have any questions.
Kind of assigned to that.
Yeah, kind of assigned to people. And what I realized right away 5 months ago, that these guys work as a team, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, this guy may be my mentoree or whatever, but they all work together. If he's in somebody else's area, they're all a team and working together. And so after this, going through the training and talking to them, they came to me as my schedule's changing and I'm everywhere. So they said, well, what if we take it over? And so they elected just this week of who the leader was going to be. And
that's awesome.
And they want me to still sit in when I can and be there, but they're now going to run that team and run. So they're taking ownership of this program. And it's been there for a while, but we're already starting to see that as people.
You're empowering people through that.
Right.
What excites you most about Wiley, the culture of good and Wiley working together, like in terms of the future? Like when you think about what the future of the culture at Wiley and just the experience in the workplace and the impact in the world, like what's the thing that you kind of gets you excited as a leader?
Well, yeah, because what gets me excited is changing the workplace, and like kind of what I told our employees was, and I sent an email saying, not just for us, but let's inspire our community, in Marion, Indiana, let's start a movement. Let's start I know there's other places that are there, but like, let's start getting more companies saying, why aren't we doing more? Right. So let's start a movement
inspiring
other companies. And also what inspires me with the culture is, I have 10-year-old twin boys. So not just as it is my family business, but not saying if they wanted to go into it, but for them as they get older to build a business and build a culture to where they can look back and tell their friends and coworkers that's something they're proud of, that their dad worked and grandfather worked here, and look what Wiley Metal's doing. So to continue that to
kind of generationally,
right?
Like so legacy, right?
Right. And to have that available to be something that they'd be proud of, to if they wanted to take over one day, or at least be able to look at it and say, look what my family did, my dad did. And and by building the culture, we've been around for 40 years, so would we continue to be there? Yeah, but by building the culture, it's something that and changing the culture, it's it makes it more empowering to see the more we can do and what good we can do, rather than just manufacturing and building parts, right?
It's like we talked about earlier, not just building tools, you're building people,
right?
And by building people, you build community. And those kind of things are like when people can say, this is where I work, and this is where I feel like I have family, and this is where I feel like I'm cared about, and this is where I can have permission to care for others and do good with my life. Like such a cool thing, and I thought about you just stepping into this training, coming like just promoted into a position in metal fabrication. And I hear people talk about culture and how difficult it is all the time. And I'm like, okay, it is, but also leading culture is just about leading people well. It's championing them, it's empowering them, you know. And I think about how empowered I saw you just over the 3 days. Like in the beginning, it was like, what is all this about? And by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, I think Mike has it. I think he caught the culture good bug, you know?
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
And what's cool is what you're doing. I don't know if you've given yourself enough credit, which you won't, but you stepped into a position, a company that's been around for 40 years, a company that already had a culture for 40 years. And you're bringing a new idea, a new concept in, not something that is all new, but the idea of having it structured in this way and really operationalizing and growing your business that way. And you went back into the business after 3 days of training and feeling empowered. But so many times we go to trainings and conferences and we hear concepts, but then like to actually put it into practice is not easy to do. And I just wanted to say, like, and champion you and say what I see in you is guts and bravery. And my hope for you is that Wiley Metal and the leadership and everybody there will get behind you and get behind the mission and the vision and support you. Because I do believe that what you're doing is building a legacy for generations to come. And I would say that your grandfather would be extremely proud of you. Honestly, you know, his heart in terms of like why Wiley was started in the first place. I'm sure, you know, you've heard those stories and talked to him and, you know why that is the way that it is, you know, it's always been family, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it too, like through the training, and I appreciate that. And part of it too is, like I've said, we're not, and through the program and what my position is doing, we're not changing the culture. Like you said, we already have a culture, but it's tweaking it and finding what's already there and bringing it to the surface, right?
So special stuff.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, you know, we're not trying to change who we are and change our image, but tweak it to where it's a place everybody can be proud to be a part of and to continue that. And again, like with the training, it was different because to other trainings and stuff, because for anybody that goes through it, there's a part where it really pushes you to get outside of your comfort zone and outside of your box to where you can, when you leave, you feel like you're ready to take it back to your company and to your organization. So there's a different aspect to a normal training that I've been through or other people been through, that it's really cool that you leave and you feel like, wow, I want to.
The pressure testing.
Yes.
That part Shannon threw in there at the end where it's like, and that was helpful for me too, because of the 5 that were certified in our cohort, each one, it all looked different.
Yeah.
And it was the same culture good. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool too, because I think sometimes we don't like pursue these type of like culture of good elements to bring into our company because we think just going to be another new thing. And that's different, because we're not just saying, okay, here's a whole new program and you got to change your culture and do everything different. We're just, like you said, just find what makes you special and bring that out every quarter in ways that like can re-engage people, you know, not just in their minds up here.
Right.
You know, like we're always trying to convince people to get engaged with our work and like employees and customers, but it's not about convincing them up here. It's touching people's hearts, you know, it's like allowing people to bring their soul to work and feel something different. That pride is what you're talking about. I think that's really important.
Yes, it is. And it just, by being there and talking to people and learning who they are and what they care about and they're there. It's more like a family, right? So we feel even more like a family. And just going out and talking, now I'm out on the floor, and the connections that I've met and friends or family members that are now family, but just by talking to them every day and they're bouncing ideas off of me and thoughts and what's going on in their personal lives or not, but there's a whole deeper connection there that if you just go and do your job and put your nose down by changing the culture is to get people to experience things together as a group.
Like a common experience.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like collective, right? And that's what culture is. It's like this collective experience. But if we just go to work for a paycheck and we fill our obligation and then we leave, we don't ever have that moment. Right. Where there's a hug. And then after the hug, you realize this person knows that I care about them.
Right.
It's observable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that's like conceptual or theory. It's like real life stuff that is transformative in people's lives. And we might think it's just a really small thing, but those things don't happen without us being intentional and like leading this forward. And that's where I see you like really gravitating toward leadership and not just trying to boss this thing forward, right? You're not trying to lead it through like, this is how the culture is going to be, but you're really empowering everyone collectively in that common experience to be able to say, this is not Mike's, this is not just Wiley's, or this is us.
Yes.
When we talk about family at Wiley Metal, we're talking about all of us. It's a family. It's real. It's dynamic, but also like through that process, we're learning about each other. We're growing together. We're experiencing life together. We're growing as a family. And that I think is really neat because you've said we're a family. And now even people are coming in that haven't been a part of it for 40 years.
Right.
Get to be a part of that and feel that collective sense of like belonging and like, I'm a part of something here. That's really important and really matters. I think that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very excited about that. So there's a new training coming up. I want you to encourage people that could potentially come on this next October 5th through the 7th.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like Ryan said, and I said, I didn't know what to expect going into it. And you and I talked and I wasn't sure. And we had a conversation ahead of time, but I'm telling you, it is life-changing to the point where it'll bring out in you things that you don't know, right? So it'll help you be a leader, and Ryan and Shannon are both great, and they're both great support, and the other people in your group, I mean, I haven't reached out to them yet, but I know through that experience that I can call them and I have that connection, and they would help me through any issues, and I would help them. So there's that, you have a connection and you have an instant bond with 5 other people, 10 other people that are all that you can call for support, and they'll help you through it. But also just it's a lot, but it's go through it, and I'm telling you, you'll never be the same afterwards, and I mean, for me, it just brought out things. And I mean, Ryan still afterwards is, talked me into going way out of my box and things that I would never even imagine doing. But there's just a lot of, it gives you a confidence and self. It helps you on this journey. And because it is catered, like you said, to everybody's individual plan and where you're going. And there's not a level of success there's afterwards. So, but it just makes you realize what your plan is, what your, what is planned out there for you. And then you can move at your own pace and find what works for you. And it's so open-ended. Everything's so open-ended that it just makes you a champion for your business and for life, to help encourage everybody else to be better people, not just employees, but be better overall.
Yeah. And make a better workplace and world. And, all of us want to be able to go to work and feel like what I do and what I contribute gives me a sense of meaning and purpose. beyond a paycheck. It's like
Right.
what you said earlier. It's like so many times we just go in, we get our paycheck and we leave, and we never have the opportunity to really connect authentically together around something like that. And then as leaders, it's hard because I've been in the culture space for 10 years and I haven't had support. You know what I'm saying? Like I've just kind of like learned as I went and figured it out, and have Googled a lot over the years trying to figure out how to do this, how to do that. And now being able to be at this season of my life and leadership, to be able to champion you, and then to watch you champion people and leaders in your business. And you're not just championing like your culture team, the whole organization, but also like the C-suite and executive team and your family and all those that have come before you. Like everybody's participating in this, and all of them have a heart for this. And that just gets me excited, because like sometimes you don't get to see the reward of all this hard work that we've put into it. But I think about some of you that might be out there watching or listening right now, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I can build a culture of good in my business. I mean, if Mike can do it at Wiley Metal, with steel fabrication and metal manufacturing and building tools and technology that allows for, the community to move forward and to grow and to be built up, but also in the midst of all that they do, building people, really what we're saying is do what you do in business, find what makes you special and share that with the world, and find out ways to engage people through that process. And listen, if I can do it, Mike can do it. And if Mike can do it, you can do it. I guarantee you, this is not, I didn't go to school for this. You didn't go to school for this. We were kind of just thrown into it. I was thrown into it earlier on, and Mike was just thrown into it. And if you happen to be out there and you say, well, I'd love to build a culture of good in my business and engage people through meaningful contributions in the community and impact, but I need a plan to follow, and I'd like to be developed and trained into this. Our next training is October 5th through the 7th. I've said it. I'd love for you to register. Make sure that you register soon. Spots are being filled up. We only have 10 available every single session, and so we'd love for you to join us next time. Who knows, Mike might come in and visit. I mean, that'd be really cool if you come to it, man, and just say hi, and maybe even work with some of the teams and teach them a little bit.
I don't know.
I mean, by then, Yeah. So hey, come, and we're going to have a whole team to support you for the next 12 months and all the tools and everything that you'll need. You can find us at cultureofgood.com. How do they find Wiley Metal?
Yeah, we're wileymetal.com and
WILEY.
WILEY.
Okay.
METAL.com. Yep.
All right. WileyMetal.com, and you can find out more about them and follow Mike Wiley. You're on LinkedIn and different places.
Yep. LinkedIn, Facebook, and my email's on the website as well. So
okay. Yeah, reach out to Mike if you have questions, and we're here to champion you and to champion you, and that you can champion your organization, your team. And so reach out to us at culturegood.com, connect with Mike, follow him. He is a leader in culture, and he's a champion of people. And I would encourage you to follow him and connect with him as much as possible, and just watch this journey and this story unfold. It's exciting. It's not going to be perfect.
No,
it's never perfect. There's mistakes along the way. There's hiccups. There's, some potholes that we'll hit and some flat tires. But the key is you get back out of the car, put the new tire on, and there's an S word that Shannon kept saying over and over and over. You keep what? Showing up.
Yep.
Yeah, you just keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up.
Yep.
Yeah. So anything else?
Nope, I don't. Not that I can think of it. And it's a great experience. I'd go through it, and you'll learn a lot, and I would encourage it, and continue to follow Ryan and Shannon, and you keep,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on Champion Your Culture. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Reach out to us at cultureofgood.com, and hopefully we'll see you October 5th through the 7th for our next 3-day training. Peace out.